I'm Josh Landau, the president of the International Insurance Society. From the beginning, the mission of the RGA Leaders of Tomorrow program has been clear: to cultivate leadership, foster innovation, and create a supportive community where future leaders can thrive. Over the past 10 years, the RGA Leaders of Tomorrow program has empowered an impressive group of rising stars to realize their potential and drive positive change in the industry. Seeing the growth and accomplishments of these young leaders has been truly inspiring. They are the future. The next 10 years hold an even greater promise as we continue to support and inspire the leaders of tomorrow. We continue to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the RGA Leaders of Tomorrow program, and I'm joined today by Jessica Baehr, president of Equitable Investment Management and a former RGA Leaders of Tomorrow mentee. Welcome, Jessica.
Well, thank you for having me, Josh.
So let's just start out by please having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your current role and your connection to the Leaders of Tomorrow program.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you all. This was a phenomenal opportunity to participate in the Leaders of Tomorrow program. I am currently, as you noted, president of Equitable Investment Management, but I've been with Equitable for about 13 years, and I've been in a few different roles. And when I had gone through the program, I was actually running our investor relations team, and had the privilege of doing so during the pandemic, which was a very interesting time indeed. And currently, what I am overseeing is essentially our asset management business. We have 120 billion in assets under management. We have over 100 portfolios, insurance portfolios that are in our variable insurance products. And we're sub-advised. So we work with the largest and I'd like to think best asset managers that are on the street. So it's actually a little bit of coming home for me. I had been with this team about 8 years ago, and it's exciting to be back with the organization and at the helm.
So when you think back on your experience as a mentee, is there any particular memory or moment that truly stands out to you?
Well, there was, I think the biggest one, which is where I have mentioned, is the fact that it was during the pandemic. So I had just taken on the role as head of investor relations in the second part of 2019 when I had the great opportunity to join this program. And certainly that those first few months, no one had any idea of what was to come early 2020. And just to put into context, we've been a public company now for some time. We went public in 2018. So when I took on investor relations, it was just 1 year of us being public. So still a fairly nascent role, still a lot of work that we were embarking on. And then here we are. I'm in this program, and the pandemic strikes. And as a newer leader in a still fairly newer role within the company, at a very critical time when financial markets have been going in a lot of different directions, and it really was in hindsight, fascinating time, but certainly intense time. And so what stuck out to me is I was paired with Ralph Muserino, who had been with AIG for a number of years and very involved with the International Insurance Society. And so he was phenomenal. He really encouraged me to lean into my experience and what I was going through. And I know what we were all going through, right, on a personal, but also on a professional level. And one of the great parts about this program that I really enjoyed was essentially the capstone project. And he really encouraged me to reflect on my current experience and use that to potentially to be, my keystone project. And it was. So I ended up writing about what it was like to lead through crisis and go from surviving to thriving. And it was, I think I had described it at the time as being very cathartic, and it was, because it was really taking the experiences that I was dealing with real time and trying to make sense of it. And it's an exercise that I think you typically sort of do post-mortem. And it was really unique to do that live. And it actually, I think, helped me to be very focused and structured, and also to find a way that I'm moving through this as opposed to just experiencing this. And so I found, certainly the fact that it happened to be the pandemic, the fact that I was in a role that was really uniquely on the forefront as a spokesperson for the company with investors, having to be able to translate that and communicate that, and using and leveraging this program, not only the support of Ralph, but also using that capstone to help me make sense of it all. And I found that to be invaluable, and it's been fun, actually. Like many things, you work on something, and then once in a while you go back to, and I happened before this to kind of read through my experiences and what I had captured, and it was fun. It was really fun to see what learnings I had at that time and how that's continued to be. It was a formative experience and continues to have been part of that foundation that I leverage today.
Well, that's incredible, and Ralph is one of the best. And it sounds like that the experience really did shape the way that you view mentorship and networking. Do you now look at yourself in a different way in sponsoring mentorship within your company and the importance that mentorship brings?
Oh, I would completely agree with that. And in fact, it's been very unique. Having been here for 13 years, and prior to Equitable, I had a career in the nonprofit sector. I worked in international development work, and then I worked in higher education at my undergraduate alma mater, Fairfield. And since I've been at Equitable, I've been really very fortunate to have a variety of roles and a variety of experiences, which has, as part of that learning curve, just when I think I've kind of gotten up to speed on the learning curve, there's been a new opportunity that has raised the bar again, which has been a lot of fun for me personally. But what was interesting is I got to a point where we've had some great people at the company that I always look to as mentors, that I always look to as sponsors. And really, I credit many of them who continue to be here at the company that have, given me the opportunity to take on these exciting roles, and, in leading investor relations after it being such a nascent organization, right? No prior IR experience, by the way, right? Then taking on leading our group retirement business. And again, not having had a full P&L responsibility prior to that role. And then now, of course, leading Equitable Investment Management. And so there are a number of people that are at the company that have helped to mentor and sponsor me. And then there's some people who have done phenomenal things and have gone on to other companies. And there were a couple in particular who have gone on, and I remember thinking, my goodness, now that these people are gone, who do I look to? And I realized I had to look in the mirror and say, you're now at that point where other people are looking to you, Jess, right? They're looking to you to be that person for others. And so it was always really important in the sense of I was always grateful for and have given back through the mentoring and sponsoring on a very personal level. But it was also a new awareness as I've continued to grow in my career and my exposure, recognizing that, as a senior person officer in the company, as a senior female officer in the company, in the insurance and in the asset management industries, that I had a responsibility too. And so it's not that I've changed what I've done. It's sort of amplified for me the responsibility that I have to others and to continue to foster. So it's given an even deeper purpose for that. So it is something that I think the program highlighted for me in terms of the way a mentor can really open your eyes and give you a different perspective. And I hope that I can pass that on to others. But also just the responsibility too, that as you continue to grow at any level of your organization, that the responsibility you have to give that back is critical. And by the way, I also like to think I get a lot more. It's probably my favorite thing to do. So I get a lot out of it, of what I learn from the people that I hope to mentor and sponsor within the company and outside.
So, in your current role, what do you see as any current skill gaps or even opportunities in the talent and recruitment pool of candidates that you've come across?
It's so interesting, and it's similar. I would say it's similar response I'd give when people are asked me, "Hey, how do I get ahead?" Right? It's both what are we recruiting for, but also what are the I would say the critical skills that help you to get to the next level. And I'll share some advice that I had gotten, which is, there's competence and then there's confidence in your leadership. And the one piece that I always had thought for many years is that, I just need to do my job to the best of my capabilities, to continue to go deeper and be an expert and get that next level of experience. And that is important. Competence is critical. But at some point, right, competence is that's just table stakes. Of course, you need to know your job. Of course, you need to be, I think, curious and continue to, evolve in your role and contribute and elevate. But one of the things that I think is also so helpful to differentiate whether you're a newer talent coming into the workforce or existing talent looking to get to that next level, there's a few that really stick out to me. Communication skills, the ability to tell a story, the ability to help connect the dots, and understand the interconnectivity of items and be able to synthesize that simply and communicate that in an impactful way. To me, that's the next level, right? You can be an expert, you can go deeper, but you need to be able to also ensure that other people you can translate that to others, understand what the impact, what the risk, what the importance of some of these things and why it matters, right? So I think that's one piece. I do think also relationships matter. And I think doing relationship and investing in relationships, mentorship, sponsorship, that's important, of course. But I think also your day-to-day relationships and having and establishing the partnership across the organization to get things done, that matters. And I think it enables you to be actually more impactful, more effective, more productive. And then if I were to bring it full circle, it's, marrying those two things. So, I think we do a lot via email. I think there is something that's sometimes lost in email. I do think that getting back to picking up the phone, which is, I think today, not as natural for many. I think we're very used to responding on our phones, whether it's texting or email. But I do think there's something about that human connectivity, and it helps to bridge the communication gaps that sometimes exist if you're just trying to get things done in very short written form. And I think that also helps to foster that relationship building, which again has been part of what I think has helped me to continue to grow within the organization and get these opportunities.
Well, I mean, that's amazing. And I think that type of advice is exactly what our younger audience needs to hear as they progress through their career path. Well, Jessica, it's been a pleasure speaking with you and helping us celebrate this 10th anniversary of the RGA Leaders of Tomorrow program. Thank you.
Well, thank you. This has been such a privilege, and I look forward to the next 10 years of the program.